We're in Algebra 1, Lesson 5-8. Today's date is January 22nd. Make sure your name is on your paper. So, 5-8, finding slope and writing equations. Yes? All right. We're super excited to participate. Just don't know what we're participating for. All right, so finding... Well, okay, what are these other hands? What's going on? Josie, what's going on?
Oh, delta y over delta.
Oh, you already...
I
You know what I'm going to be asking for. Delta y over delta x. I didn't even get to ask the question. Yes, Josie, you did get that correct. Thank you. Josie, you can turn in your participation card. That is amazing. Everyone was participating. I didn't even get to ask the question. Okay, so here's the important thing to remember that I haven't mentioned in the notes. The slope is always the thing that is attached to the x. The slope is the coefficient of the x. Write this down. Slope is coefficient of the x term. And if you don't like this word coefficient, I'm going to write another word that you can use. Coefficient just means number in front of. For example, and you don't have to write this down. I'm going to do this in green. You don't have to write down the green. If I have 4x, the coefficient of 4x is 4. It's just the number in front of the x. If I have 3x squared, the coefficient of 3x squared is 3. It's just the number in front of it. So coefficient is a fancy way of saying number in front of. So the slope is always a thing in front of the x term. So if I come down here to example 1, and I need to find the slope of this line, I need to transform this a little bit because I need to get it into slope-intercept form. So that's the other thing that we need to write down before we move to example 1. I forgot this, which is to change to y equals mx plus b to find slope. And I'll pause there because I know that I speak and write fast, which makes my handwriting nice and sloppy. But we need to get it into y equals mx plus b to find slope, unless you can be tricky about it. You can be pretty smart and take some shortcuts, and I am totally okay if you know what you're doing. For example, I can find the shortcut for example 1, and I know that the slope happens to be 3/5. But let's see why that's the case. You can see that ahead of time, or you can actually just change it to y equals mx plus b. If you always change it to this form and you always look for the coefficient of the x term, you will always be finding the slope. So how am I going to change this into y equals mx plus b form? What do I have to do to this equation? I'm looking for a quiet raised hand. I need to get this into a y equals mx plus b. I need to move things, change things. Montse, what's the first thing? Subtract 3x, you're correct. Go ahead and turn in your card, Montse. Subtract 3x from both sides. Montse, there's your 50xp. And how long are our notes today? They're kind of long. So when I do that, we can get rid of the 3x. I still have this minus 5y. I still have a 7. I now have a minus 3x on the left-hand side. What's my final step to get into slope-intercept form? Right now, I have something in front of the y. Sergio? Notice that this y is all by itself. There's nothing in front of it. So we need to make sure that there's nothing in front of this y term. How do I get rid of that negative 5? Andres?
Divide both sides by negative 5.
Divide both sides by negative 5, which is the same thing as saying divide each term by negative 5. You could say divide both sides by negative 5, and you are more correct than I am by saying divide each term by negative 5. But it's a little bit easier to see just divide each term by negative 5. So when I do that, those terms cancel out, and I'm just left with y by itself, which is what we wanted to get. And now I have 7 over negative 5, which is just, and I'm going to write this on the right-hand side. I'm going to switch these terms at the same time. It's going to be negative 7/5. So this term went down here. I just moved it to the right-hand side. And I'm going to now write this 3x over 5. Notice that it's a negative divided by a negative. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, so it's going to be a 3 over 5x. 3 over 5, that quantity x. And then I have this negative 7/5. So I could actually write plus negative 7/5, or I could write minus 7/5. Either way is fine. I'm just going to leave it like that, minus 7/5. All right, so now that we have it in slope-intercept form, what's the answer? What's the slope? quite raise hand. What is the slope of this equation? Jose, go for it.
Y equals 3x.
So that's the equation. I'm just looking for the slope, which happens to be the coefficient of the x term. Go for it, Jose. 3/5. There it is. That is the slope. It's the number in front of the x, so 3/5 is the answer. And box it. It's that easy. Get it into slope-intercept form. Look for the number in front of the x term. You're good. All right. And I need to give Jose his XP. Next, example 2. Same thing. Get it into slope-intercept form. Look for that coefficient. You guys are helping me through this. What should I do first? Sergio.
Simplify.
Simplify by doing what?
2 and y -2.
So we're going to just distribute that 2. Thank you, Jose. What do I get when I distribute that 2, Sergio? 2y minus -6 like that?
No, just 6.
Oh, -6, okay. And nothing changes on the right. Minus 5x plus 8. Thank you, Sergio. You can turn in your card. Yeah, now if you've already participated and you still have your card, can you please turn that in? All right, so what's next? What is my next step? I need to get into y equals form. Cohen.
Add 6 to both sides.
Add 6 to both sides. And notice I'm writing add 6 underneath the other constant term, the other number term. So when I add 6, those go away, and I'm left with 2y. And I have negative 5x plus 14. Good job, Cohen. I'll give you your XP. Next, what do I do? Someone that still has their card. Jessica. Divide both sides by 2. Yes. Which is the same thing as saying divide each term by 2. Those 2's cancel each other out, and I'm left with y, because there's no number in front, just 1, I guess. And now I have this negative 5 over 2x, and I have a plus 7. Thank you, Jessica. You can turn in your card. And I need someone to tell me what the answer is. What is the slope of our line? Jennifer. Negative 5 over 2. There's our answer. Box it. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, so we have 2 homework assignments tonight. This is one of them, where you have to transform it into y equals mx plus b form, slope-intercept form, and then find the slope. There are a few other ways that you can find the slope as well, but I think that's the simplest way. I'm kind of boiling it down. I feel a little bit guilty for that. But let's go on to writing equations. So there are 2 steps when you're writing equations. This is the second of the 2 homework assignments tonight. And here are the steps. So if you have a nice y-intercept, and by nice I mean a whole number. For example, you don't write this down now, but if I have something that goes through right there between 1 and 2, I don't know if this is 1.5, if it's 1.6. That's not a nice y-intercept. This would be a nice y-intercept because it goes exactly through 1. So if it has a nice y-intercept, that just means it has an integer y-intercept. So if you are writing your notes, this just means integer. It has an integer y-intercept, then you're going to do the following steps. Or you're going to write it like this. You're going to do y equals mx plus b form. We know how to do that. If we have a nice y-intercept, we write the y-intercept for the b, because that's what the y-intercept is, and then we find the slope. We have to find the slope from 2 points, like we've been doing this entire unit, and write it right there. That's review. We know how to do that, and we'll be seeing one of those down here. Nope. We actually don't have a review of that, so hopefully we remember how to do this. But this one is when you don't have a y-intercept, or you don't have a nice y-intercept. And here's a good picture. See, in this example, it doesn't go through 3 and it doesn't go through 4. It goes in between 3 and 4, and I'm not exactly sure where that is. This one does not have a nice y-intercept. So if I do this form, I'm going to do slope, or point-slope form. Point-slope form looks like what? Does anyone remember the equation for point-slope form? Y minus something. Go back and look at your notes if you still have a participation card that you want to get in. Fernando?
Y minus y1 equals
There it is. Yeah, good memory, Fernando. Good job. Everyone else write that down as well. Then we're going to use this form. We haven't used it before, aside from to transform it back into standard form and to write the equation. But now, well, I guess we've been writing the equation. But what did we do that with? We wrote the equation, given 2 points. So now we're going to write the equation from a graph. All right, so those are the 2 steps. Let's go ahead and try them out. So, example 3. I'm already telling you that we're going to be, this is a type 2 problem. It's not a nice y-intercept, so we're going to use point-slope form. Let's go ahead and rewrite point-slope form right here so we have it. Y minus y1 is equal to m, which is our slope, times the quantity of x minus x1. We know that m is slope because we've seen that before in mx plus b form. x1 and y1, these 2 values that I'm going to box in orange here, these 2 values are the coordinates of our point. Our point is x1 comma y1. That's our point that we're going to choose. And we can choose any point that we want. This guy right here is a point. The coordinates of that point. Okay, so we get to choose whatever point you want to do. So someone help me fill in this equation. Choose a random point. I can choose that point, I can choose that point, or I could theoretically choose that point or that point, but maybe we should choose one of the ones that has been given to us. Choose one of these 2 points. All right, so someone that has their card, choose a point and tell me how to fill it in for the equation. I'll even do you the courtesy of saying it's going to be y minus blank is equal to blank times the quantity of x minus blank. There are 3 blanks here. These are the 2 blanks you're filling in right now. Choose a point, and we're going to write those coordinates in each of these boxes. Who wants to do it? There's not too many cards out there right now. I'll even help you through this one. I'm going to have to cold call on someone. All right, Julian. Choose one of these points. Tell me what the point is. 4 comma. So you chose the point 4 comma 5, which means x1 is 4 and y1 is 5. So tell me what goes in which one of these boxes. This box right here. What number goes here? 5? Yep, you're correct. And this box is 4. Yeah, everyone else fill it in as well. That box is 4. Thank you, Julian. All right. Notice that we're missing something crucial, this m, this slope, which means we have to find the slope using these 2 points. And we've done that before. Let's go ahead and do it again. To find the slope, I need to figure out how much right I went and how much up or down I went. In this case, it's up. And then we use the formula of slope, which we defined again. It's delta y over delta x at the very front of our page to find our slope. So go ahead and do that now. Find the slope. You can look at your own notes. You can look at mine. Find the slope. If there's a card out there that found the slope, I need to see a quiet raised hand. Fernando, have you participated yet? Just joking. Okay, Eder, go for it. 9/3. Be careful there. So I agree that this one is 9 and this one is 3. So slope again is defined as delta y over delta x. So it's the change in y over the change in x. So how could you? 3 over 9, exactly, yeah. So this is equal to 3/9. And Eder, can you reduce that for me as well? I'm asking a lot of you, I know. Divide the top and bottom by 3. Yes, it's 1/3. Thank you, Eder. So our slope is 1/3, and there is our full equation. Thank you, Eder. You can turn in your participation card. And that's our final answer. Once we fill in each of those things, we have the equation. Let's practice doing that same thing again. Who has not turned in their card? Has everyone turned in their card? Gunnar, you have your card? Okay, Gunnar, you're going to do the first step for us, which is finding the point. So let's rewrite point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times the quantity of x minus x1. That's always the first step. All right, Gunnar, help us out. Y minus what?
Y minus 1.
Y minus 1, okay, is equal to something times x minus negative 2. There it is. Yep, you chose this point. So the x coordinate is negative 2. So this x coordinate is negative 2. The y coordinate is 1. The y coordinate is 1. Everything there matches up. So thank you, Gunnar. You can turn in your card. And when I have a double negative, negatives kiss, so that turns into a plus. And now I need to find the slope. So again, how much right did I go? I'm going to say from this point, how much right did I go? And how much down did I go? And anyone can participate now that everyone has the cards in. What is the slope of this line? Everyone should be doing this on their own right now. Everyone knows how to find slope. This is anyone's game, anyone's points. Only 2 people know? Uh-oh. I'm going to wait until 4 hands. 3 people. I see Jose. I see. There's 4 hands. Fernando, go for it.
Negative 5/3.
Negative 5/3. Done. Box it. Good job, Fernando. All right, that concludes the lesson. Are there any questions before you go on to write your summaries? All right, write your summaries now, and then after you finish your summaries, you may begin on Khan Academy.